Last episode we completed our 16 million item auto-sorted storage for every item in the game, and today we're going to try and finish up our builds over here in the tiny big garden, which is going to involve a whole lot of landscaping. We've got all these trees in the background to chop down because they completely ruin the scale. We've got lots and lots of coarse dirt to place as well to get rid of all the tiny grass here. We need giant grass, and of course we need to place lots more grass and mushrooms and maybe even get some flowers in too. And of course we finally need to tackle this portal because, well, that's just unsafe and looks disgusting. We also have something else we need to install down here underground below our storage, and that is opposite our bulk storage area, which is actually this corridor here, where we're going to be building a massive super smelter. And I know we do have a kind of furnace array over in our starting island, but we need something a little bit bigger. And now that we're storing everything over here as well, I think it makes sense to have a nice big smelter in place here. And lastly, we need to sort the interior of this room here because, well, this is just an absolute mess. So there's absolutely tons to do, and I think we're going to make a start on the landscaping first, which I guess means I should probably grab an axe or two and get chopping some trees. Removing all those trees makes so much difference. We just need to cover up the grass with some coarse dirt as well now. It appears I've missed one up there. And I've also got a few that I'm still standing on. But yeah, the majority of it has now gone. But I've got a whole bunch of coarse dirt and lots of grass to cover up. So let's get block placing. And about 10 stacks of coarse dirt later, that is looking so much better. And if we just quickly land and go into free cam, let's go here, and we can get a proper view of this now. And without all the trees in the background and having all this extra coarse dirt down, it really does make a huge difference. Although we've only just scratched the surface here. What I need to do now is get a whole bunch more green dye. We need to make lots of concrete. We need to get some green terracotta, and we need to plant all the grass. And of course, we're going to add in some mushrooms and some other details and bits and bobs. I don't really know exactly what we're going to add, but there's going to be lots going in around here. And there is actually a massive space here. I think what I might do is actually make myself a bigger cactus farm here because, well, the one we have over on our starter base is fine, but it's very slow. So I guess I need to think of something to actually hide it in as well. But yeah, we'll give it some thought. I could even just do another Lego brick maybe. Maybe one of those big ones that's like a 2x4, you know the ones. But I'll give that a little bit of thought. And we also need to try and come up with an idea to sort of put a boundary on this place. We could build like a bit of a garden wall or a rockery or something like that around the back here. I mean, either way, it's going to take a lot of blocks. But we do have a buttload of stone at the moment, so I don't know, maybe we'll come up with something. But I think I'm going to make a start with the green dye that I do have. We're going to get some more bits of grass down, especially around the back of the matchbox here, because we know that there's not space to actually build anything over there. And then we'll figure out what to do about this cactus farm. Actually, no, scrap that. If I'm going to be in the area, it makes sense to make the cactus farm first, doesn't it? Because then we're actually going to have enough green dye to be able to do all the grass. Sometimes I can use my brain. So I just need to decide what to hide it in. And to be honest with you, I think for size and shape and so on, another big Lego brick here might actually be the way to go. Just to pick a different colour. And I'm thinking a nice big red-yellow brick is going to require a lot more red concrete than that. Yep, definitely. Okay. But I'm pretty sure I'm out of gravel as well because we've used it all for coarse dirt. Yep, we literally have one piece. So we're going to have to go grab some resources, get some gravel together. And once we've got some red concrete, we'll make a start on that Lego brick. So one thing I haven't actually found in this world yet is a proper gravelly biome. So what I've actually been doing is going over this way to the ocean and literally just digging up the ocean floor, which is not the best way to collect gravel because it's an absolute pain to collect it all off the surface. But it's my only choice for now. We're going to have to come up with something renewable for this at some point. Gravel is sorted, so let's grab some sand as well. And a bunch of red dye. Turn all of that into red concrete. And it looks like a zombie's taken out my door. Dang it. So let's be smart about it this time. Let's place the door closed, make it open like that, and then put the blocks on top. And now the zombie's going to see that as open and won't attack it. But anyway, let's make some concrete. There's one very very basic looking Lego cube, and to be honest, I think it looks a little bit tall. So what I could do is cut the top off, lower it down, and make it look a little bit better. However, instead I think I'm actually just going to raise the ground around it a little bit because, well, it doesn't really slope very well anyway. Although in saying that, I don't have the coarse dirt and I've got no gravel either, so fine, let's take the top off and lower it down. Classic Beardstone, building things more than once. There we go, that looks much better. I mean, it's still just a big red box, but at least it looks proportionally correct for a Lego brick. Let's see if we can add a bit of texture. Certainly coming along nicely. I did try a few other different blocks for textures as well, but they just didn't really work. And you may have noticed I've also put in the cactus farm here, which, as you can see, is working just fine. One slight problem though, we have nowhere to store it currently, so that's what I'm going to work on next. So I just need to put a tube in here, and we'll stick a bunch of chests down here. And of course, we're going to need a bunch of hoppers in the back of these. Just what this area needs, more hoppers. There we go, something as simple as that will start storing all of our cactus up for us as it comes through the system. So, well, we do need to sort out the rest of the interior of this place. It's not exactly looking good, is it? However, what I want to do first is work a little bit more on the outside, because although we've got the Lego brick in, and it does add a nice splash of colour to the area, it just sticks out from the landscape a little bit too much right now. So we need to... Oh, wait a minute, we're going to need the green dye first, aren't we? Well, I guess I'm going AFK for a little bit till we get some green dye. But then once we do have a little bit more and whatever else I can scrounge from storage, we'll see if we can get this sort of buried in the garden like everything else. And of course, finish off lots of landscaping around the surrounding areas. Well, as you can probably tell by the state of my tools, I wasn't particularly AFK during that AFK session. I've done a couple of things. The first one is just to make this area look a little bit more presentable. It is literally nothing fancy whatsoever, but look at all this cactus that's come through, which is marvelous. But also, while we were still waiting for more cactus, it did occur to me that we're also going to need to cook it in order to make the dye. So, well, it made sense to make a start on the furnace. So if we go all the way to the bottom here, nothing terrifying about that, ever. I've actually dug out this area here now, as you can see in this really quick time-lapse. And that gives us plenty of space to build a big furnace array. And I think what I want to do is actually build 2 separate furnace arrays because of how long things take to actually sort of go round and fill up the furnaces and so on. To maintain efficiency, we're going to have 2 super smelters, one on each side, each with 32 furnaces in. That way I can just run one if I only need to smelt a small amount of stuff, but if I need to smelt more, I've got access to both. So I'm going to quickly get rid of this beacon just to clear it up. I like being able to see the logo on the floor here. And then we're going to grab a bunch of furnaces, a bunch of hoppers, just what this place needs. We're adding even more hoppers. What do we like? But then we can crack on with the super smelter while even more cactus grows upstairs. And then hopefully by the time this is done, we'll have all the green dye we could possibly need to get the upstairs finished. Or the surface, I should say. It's not really upstairs, is it? It's miles away. So I'm just starting to figure out how this is going to work and how it's going to look. And I think once everything's cooked, I'm just going to run a water stream under the floor. And that's where we're going to have that going. But you may notice I said I was putting in 32 furnaces and there's only a row of 16 there. And I think what I'm actually going to do is just double it up so it goes round in a circle. So you'll only visually see 16, but there'll be another 16 behind. Let's see if we can get this worked out. So layout-wise, that should work. These top ones here are going to, of course, feed the furnaces with what we want to smelt, and what we need to do is just add a little loop here for the track to go round. That should be perfect. And then this one here is for the fuel, and once again, we want to be able to loop the track back round in this direction. We'll figure out this side shortly on how this is going to go, because, of course, we need to make sure we put in some loading points. Then down below, we've split this in 2, so as you can see here, the arrows are going in different directions. So we have 16 hoppers that are feeding into this dropper, and the same on the other side. And then they're going to split the goods down here into a water stream, which will then get collected over here. So fairly straightforward. We just need to add all the rail and then get this thing hidden. I think that's looking pretty good. That should do the trick on the front, and on the back side we've got all the rail in over there. We just now need to figure out how we're actually going to load up the system. So let's see what we can do. First things first, let's build out a frame. So 4 blocks or so should probably be enough. And then what we could do is have one load there and one load here. So if we assume the bottom one's going to be fuel, we need to link this up to this area here and make sure that the rails can actually turn and all that jazz. So let's see, we're going to have to go this way. Then we should be able to get away with putting in a corner. And then can we do that? That looks like it's linked up just fine. In fact, I'm going to lower this down a little bit, and that should give some room for the bits at the top here. So if we do something a bit more like this, there we go, that should be good. And what we want to do is we want the cart to go round, and then we want it to come back and then go back down here. And we want this bit here to be as short as possible, so if it's still loading, it can literally just bounce and go round again and so on until it's empty. And for that, I think what we need to do is get some of these, do something like this, and I wonder, can we trick the track into turning? Oh, there we go. That should work a treat. Look, they'll come down there and then drop straight back down the bottom here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Right, so this one here. This is going to be a bit more interesting. We're going to need some space for the cart to get down, because this, I think, is going to have to raise up almost immediately, although we can make a little bit more space here. There's going to be lots of rail shuffling here. I'll bring you back in once it's working. So I think I've got this all worked out. We're just going to run a little test here and see how it goes. So we'll put a couple of these carts on here. We'll test this one first to make sure it comes back, which it doesn't appear it does. So where have we messed up? Right, we've actually just forgot to add the additional power we need. Clever Beardy. Right, there we go. Now it should hopefully return. Nope, it's getting wedged. Right, okay, so there's not quite enough headroom for it here, but I reckon if we replace that block there with a stair, that should solve that problem. Oh no, it's actually this one here that's blocking it. I see. Okay, a trapdoor? Trapdoor should work. So if we put a trapdoor in this space here, and that looks like it's working. Perfect. Okay, so we can turn that one off. Now let's try the top one, and we might have a similar problem around here somewhere. Yep, we have the exact same problem here as expected, so I guess if we just remove that slab. All right, excellent. That is working an absolute treat. So now we've got the core furnace working. We just need to do the same thing over here. Well, that didn't take too long at all, and that's looking pretty good. I think we've got a good balance here, although I do need to add another minecart up there. Let's quickly do that. Do I have it on me? I do. Here it is. Right, let's just make sure that one's working as well, which I believe it is, but we should double check things. Perfect. Right, so what we need to do now, I have got all the water in, but we need to actually put in the proper collection system. So let's grab myself a bit of glass and some soul sand, and this should be fairly straightforward. We're just going to put a bubble vator in here, and I think we'll just put a double chest here because we can only load a chest full of items in each one anyway, so this is the max it would ever need, with a couple of hoppers in the back. Then if we just fill this thing up with ice, that should just about do it. And that is our collection system sorted, so everything's just going to fly through here, go up and across, and drop down into this chest. Now we just need to actually decorate the rest of the room, and for that, I don't know what we're going to do. Let's grab some blackstone. I called it blackstone again, it's deep slate. And a short while later, we've got this place looking a lot nicer. We've just got a pile of coal over here, and we've actually got some storage here as well for extra bits if we need them. There's a big old furnace at the back that does absolutely nothing but look cool. And we've got just a nice dark oak ceiling with some lanterns and stuff, a few bars here and there. But overall, I'm really pleased with how this has come out, but most importantly, it's going to be able to cook the things we need. But in order to do that, we're going to need fuel. And for now, I do have lots and lots of coal, so let's go grab that. In fact, it's over here. Look at that, there's loads of it, although my inventory's full of rubbish. There we go, much better. We've got an inventory full of the stuff, so I think it's probably going to be easiest for us to go up onto the surface, make a big pillar and break all this down, and we're going to use this coal in the furnace for now. And of course, we do have our kelp farm and lots of blocks of kelp we can use, but eventually I think we might use one of these sections here to create a fuel farm. But for now, let's get this coal in the system and chuck in lots and lots of cactus. I wonder how much we've got now. Oh, look at that, we've got loads of the stuff. Excellent. So I've now got a load of coal, I've got a load of cactus, we're going to dump this in the system and get this stuff cooking. This is what it's all been about. And then finally, we can go back up to the surface and actually start getting it finished. So they're all loaded up, let's turn them on and watch them go. Right, okay, there's something in there that shouldn't be. And look at that, we have the dye coming through. I did actually put some glass down here over the water tube so we could see it all moving around, but it just looked rubbish. So, yeah, we got rid of that in the end. But at least we can see it all coming through, and that is nice and fast. Look at that. Although it has just occurred to me, this is coming through faster probably than the hoppers can actually pick up. Yep, look at that. That is crazy. So what we need to do is actually add a bit of water there, and that should use both hoppers now. So if this one does start to get overloaded, at least it will use the secondary one. Yep, that's coming through much quicker. Excellent. So now we've got the dye cooking up, there's something else we need to do, because although we do have some in here, some of the greens, we actually don't have any plain terracotta at all. Well, we've got 63, but that's not enough. So we're going to have to go dig up a little bit more terracotta to make sure we've got enough to do the whole garden. So I'm going to gather what I need, and when we come back, we can crack on with the surface. We've made some really good progress over this side. It's looking nice and busy. But next up, I think we're going to try and tackle the portal. Jeez, this is taking so long, but hopefully it's all going to be worth it. Let's crack on, I guess. Well, I think we can all agree that's more than enough time-lapsing for one episode. But if I jump into free cam here, look at all the progress we've made. We've literally doubled the size of this area, I'd say. And not only that, we've terraformed the majority of it. Although I have completely run out of the bits I need now. I've got no more terracotta, I've got no more green wool. And you may notice it gets a little bit more sparse over here, and there's absolutely no wool on this side whatsoever. But overall, I'm really pleased with how this is coming out. It does look really, really, really nice. And I think it's starting to sell the effect a bit more, especially without all those trees in the background. But not only that, we've also sorted out our portal down here. I've just made it like a little ant hole, essentially, so nothing too pretty, nothing too major, but at least it does the job. It hides the portal nicely, and I think it blends into the landscape perfectly. I've also experimented with a couple of different flowers. There's one there, there's one here, and a couple of different mushroom styles as well. But as I say, for now, I pretty much just ran out of resources, so I can't actually do the last few bits that need doing, which is pretty much just down the front there. But I guess we're going to have to save the finishing touches for the next episode. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.